Wrong one, my guy.
This happens when it's live. It's awesome, right? GTVRadio, DJ Prenup here. My man, Exquisite Complex. We are back with the Shallow Waters podcast
On a Tuesday.
The
club goes up on a Tuesday. Okay, guys. So for the people that are tuned in, this is our first time doing this live.
Yeah.
So how I plan this is we're gonna have interactions on Twitter and on Twitch, YouTube TV live while this happens. So
and we don't plan on saying Indie Artist Music Showcase.
Yeah, this is definitely not Indie Artist Music Showcase. But
That's my bad.
Please feel free to submit your questions on Twitter, YouTube TV, like all our social media.
Big facts. All the social media is going to be Instagram at GTV Radio and Twitter at radio_GTV. Our visual media platforms are Twitch and YouTube, and those are GTV on the web. It's the radio station, but we are doing things virtually or visually. It's going to be that. I'm going to turn my watch on silent. My bad, bro. Hold on a second. Already. So before we get started, we're going to start over and formally do this. Are you cool with that?
Yeah, come on. Let's go.
All right, hold on,
it's the first time doing this live. Usually podcasts, like we have, like we do
so much
bloopers. We got like stuff starting over, so it's okay. So we're doing this just on the air. So again, welcome back to Shallow Waters Podcast. I'm your host, Michael, a.k.a. Exquisite Complex.
And I am the co-host, DJ Prenup, a.k.a. Kyle.
So I had an idea today. I assume that the majority of people are either at home, school's out. So I assume you're like tuned in, just kind of chilling, or you're at work, kind of, tuning in. If you're rocking with us, thank you very much. But so I feel like it's summertime. Like I feel like we have enough time to live stream, at least for a little bit.
Big facts. Something at least. Something.
If you're familiar with Shallow Waters Podcast, we talk about the most random shit.
Whatever comes to mind.
This time we're going to do the exact same way, but I want it to be a little bit more interactive this time. So I want to give a big shout out to 3 people before we begin. First is my niece, Mia. We're recording this for her.
Okay.
So
what's up?
Her mom told me that she's already getting picked up, so we're recording for you.
Okay. Do we need to keep it like not so explicit?
Nah, I'm gonna tell her. I'm gonna tell her mom to make sure that like she puts her like earphones on, like
parental advisory warning right here
during certain parts. Second is to her mom, Melissa, my big sis, who's rocking with us. We're gonna bring up a little bit later.
Okay.
She's very important to this particular topic that we have today.
Okay.
And my third is to one of my best friends, my homegirl, Jess. Who still has your shorts for some reason.
Still have my shorts. Listen, I need my shorts back, all right?
But she's rocking with us today,
I only have
too.
one pair of black shorts, and they're not ones that I wear inside.
And she's also a very important particular topic to this. But both of them come later on down the road.
Okay. Exquisite has a lot of important people in his life, which is fire to me.
So first of all, look, this is kind of off topic. So before we even begin, do you know how hard it is to get people to come together for one particular reason when you're the reason?
Very hard.
But when you're the reason, that's a little more difficult.
Oh, yeah, when you're the reason, yeah.
I know, exactly. So I'm the reason, and I never realized how difficult it is to get people to decide on one location at one particular time for one weekend. It is a lot harder than I expected it was going to be. But I want to say shout out to them for helping me throw in my 30th coming up. So,
big facts.
Big shout out to them.
And then down.
Shout out, yeah, we're going to the H, back to the H. And then also shout out to my little Jenny too. Like she's not tuned in, but she's like, I'm gonna try to sneak it in. But she works for a police department, so I don't know how it's gonna work out.
With love from Reno.
Yeah, with love from Reno. Okay, so first topic. You, I assume, would want kids, correct?
Correct.
How many kids you want?
2, 3 max. And we've already discussed the reasons behind that.
Do you want boy, girl, girl, boy?
Yeah, so we want. In no specific order. I don't really care if it's a boy first or if it's a girl first. Just boy, girl, and then if it's 2 of the same, we try for a third. If it don't work out, that's it.
You just got 3 of the same.
And I'm doing the same thing that my pops did, and that's I'm getting a vasectomy, bro. So if she pop out with a 4th, it ain't mine. It ain't mine.
So my question is so my big Melissa, she is one of the most important people in my life. She's also a mom.
Okay.
She has a daughter, Mia. That's my niece. So for me, my mom always told me, and it scared the shit out of me. She was like, one day you gonna have a kid, and that kid's gonna be a girl. And I was like, why would you wish that on me? Like, I don't know how this is gonna work out. Like, Like, I'm not signing up for, having a daughter. But watching Mia grow up, I think seeing her grow up from the time she was born to where she is now,
Okay.
I think it's definitely made a change on me to where I would welcome being a girl dad. I think for when you look at parenting as a whole, I think that you see parenting for what it is, not for what it could be.
Okay.
In particular, how we were raised.
Okay.
Like, we only see parenting, since we don't have kids and there's no manual on it, we only see parenting through
From
a certain
our
lens, like through a
yeah.
certain scope. It's until you kind of step out of that scope and see parenting from a different view, then you kind of see the beauty of it in a sense.
I feel that.
So that being said, what order do you want and what are you welcoming and why?
I don't care. I don't care if it's a boy first. I don't care if it's a girl first. I have no preference, and I've low-key vowed because of social media to be like, whatever it is, it's the beauty of life. I don't care if it's a boy first. I don't care if it's a girl first. The moment I get that in my head as, I want a boy first, and then the baby shower comes or the gender reveal comes, and here I am upset because I wanted a boy first and it's a girl, that's selfish to me. You're missing out on the fact that there's a beauty of life that's coming into this world. No matter how fucked up the world is, no matter how fucked your environment may be, whatever, you are in a very beautiful moment of creation that's happening.
Okay.
So to me, it's like, how dare you get upset that you're having a girl first or a boy first? So I had no preference.
So I guess
That's me though.
we're gonna get into this topic a little bit later.
Okay.
Having a girl, you're a male.
Yeah.
Did that not scare the shit out of you at some point in time? Like,
I mean, look, listen. There's gonna be a point in time where, as they grow old, you're going to be, it's not necessarily scary, it's just becoming overprotective because of whether it's things that you did when you were, younger to some of these females, or some of the videos that you might have seen of, some chicks just getting turned out. It is what it is. My thing is, like, that's just life though. And I've always grown up like this, where I've known people whose parents have been very overprotective, and that, not that it makes them worse, but like, someone who is one of my exes, she was very religious and, no sex before marriage. And, we ended up breaking that vow. I was turning her out. And I'm not saying to throw any shade to my current girl now as like our sex being vanilla, as some people would say. I would say that it's just different as far as her upbringing. They weren't as so strict. And as I feel like people would tap into this like super duper wild side because they feel like it's almost like things that are prohibited, you really want to do them.
Okay, so let me tap real quick into the future.
Like if my daughter's getting turned out, I just hope I don't hear about it. Like I'm gonna just say that. Like I just hope I don't hear about it. Like I can't avoid that. I can't avoid that. I just hope that she knows better to.
Let's backtrack.
All right. We went from future. I didn't even get it.
No, so let's tap into.
Okay.
Let's tap into Kyle.
Even my son. Like I would hope that this motherfucker wraps it up if he decides to live that way. Just like for her, I hope she's protective of her body if she decides to live that way.
So I read a quote on Twitter just now, and this is the one I was like, oh, off air. I told Kyle, I was like, hey, this is a really dope quote, and I kind of want to see like your thoughts on this.
Okay.
So the quote is if you're doing parenting correctly, your kid should be better than you. I have two different thoughts about
I really hope my kids are better than me. Mom was like, my kids are better than me.
So I wholeheartedly agree, but I also think that is the ultimate ego death. To make sure that who you are, I believe that all humans at some point in time think that they're perfectionists.
Yeah.
I think that they like at some point in time they hit like I'm the shit and it phase, and it comes at all points in different life, but it is what it is. But for you to give birth to this beautiful creature who is now part of you replicated, and it's like you put out like it's like Splice when you put out a better version of yourself. Yeah. And now you have to raise this person to be a total not piece of shit. Yeah. How is that not mind-boggling to you to some degree?
Yes and no, and again, I can't necessarily speak from experience.
That's what I'm saying. We're not parents. Like
we're not parents, and so I mean, growing up, you always think, I wouldn't say a perfectionist or whatever, but you always, it's just morals that people have. You live by a certain set of morals or a creed or core values or whatever, and that's really what kind of carries you on through life. And the biggest thing I want to teach my kids is just don't be a shitty person.
Now, okay, so,
and of course that's very broad.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
and ambiguous.
So what are the core values that I feel like you have to teach your kid to not be a total piece of shit? Like, I feel like there's got to be some, like, I feel like right and wrong is very gray area.
It's very gray because you even have these core values that are, like, for example, loyalty. Okay, but loyalty to what? Because then that's where it becomes gray area. It's like, okay, like, show that you have loyalty. Show that you have a certain way of duty in the world. Show that you have a way of respect. But then again, it's like, okay, now what are those core values geared towards of? Because Nazis were loyal. But that just becomes like as a parent. Again, I just teach them the good factors of loyalty, like don't be a shitty friend, have certain people's backs, but also in retrospect is be loyal to your society in the sense of, like, if you know someone who's a shitty fucking person, don't be loyal to them because they're a shitty fucking person. And that means, like, robbing, killing, stealing, all that shit. Like, don't get yourself caught in those environments because then you end up just creating more havoc and causing unnecessary mischief for yourself.
I know one thing for sure when I do have a kid, like, I know for a fact that, like, one thing I'm going to nip in the bud real early because I believe in having, like, a good home. Like, I want to have a marriage before kids. One thing I know I'm going to nip in the bud real quick, like, when they start singing them Drake's Got It Out the Mud, like, oh, I started from the bottom, I'm going to nip that shit in the bud real quick. Like, no, you don't come from the mud. You came from a nice home. You don't need to be singing about that shit. Like, no, none of that. Sorry. It doesn't work. My parents, like, for me, I feel like I got it out the mud. Like, my family was not in the best of circumstances, and we figured our shit out. You're like, okay, cool. You learn to evolve on the fly.
I feel, yeah, like you said,
but I mean,
there's no manual for parenting. Everything's on the fly.
I feel like there's certain people that can't be like, oh, I got my shit out the mud. Like, your parents have done everything for you to survive. No. Like, this doesn't work like that.
Are you talking about Solange Knowles' son?
Hey, look, I'm just saying in general. I'm not calling nobody out.
Nah, Solange Knowles, get your son.
It's just in general.
Get your son.
Y'all didn't get it out the mud, like y'all.
But I mean, those are very good questions. I can only say how I would like to raise my child until that motherfucker gets here, and then a lot of it, dictates on environment. A lot of it dictates on financial status. Like, we might be good to have kids financially, and then like 2 months after they are born, we might get hit with some shit. Not saying, knock on wood, that it happens, but like, boom, out of nowhere, now you're homeless. Here you are, have this thing. But that's just like the scary thing about life, and that's why I always want to see the beauty in it as like the kids. I don't want to dawn on too much of the small negative personal shit, and really just try my best to provide for them in what I believe is a good environment.
Okay, so now next question: what qualities do you look for a person that you call a friend to put them into like that family elite category status?
Great question. I don't know. I don't necessarily have.
How do you know?
So it's not so like they got to check these boxes. It really is just like a feeling, and a lot of that comes with longevity. For a friendship, and and again, some friends turn family is a lot longer than people, or it's a lot shorter. Like so like one of my like longest family friends is my boy Tommy, but he's only a family friend to me.
Right.
Like, he does not come over all the time, all that shit. Like, or not everybody like knows him, but that's just me personally. Whereas then there's you. You're like one of my biggest, closest family friends, but everybody knows you. My sister knows you, my brothers know you, my dad, my mom, and them all know you. They all aren't necessarily familiar with Tommy, but that's just mine and Tommy's relationship. But I still consider Tommy a fucking brother. Same thing as about my boy David or DJ Heartbreaker. He's like a brother to me. He's a family friend. But not everybody knows him or knows of him. But it doesn't matter because it's my choice, my feeling, my appeasement, and it's same thing. Damn, nigga, it's the same thing with some of like some of the homegirls. My homegirl Abigail. not everybody knows about her. Of course, I make sure Violet knows her, or like my homegirl Shannon. Like, but those I treat them like sisters. My homegirl Sammy, my mom knows Sammy, but not everybody else knows Sammy. And nothing against them. It's just how the way of life kind of just tracked itself.
Fair enough.
So it's not necessarily like a box I check. It's really just like a feeling. How I know, it just takes time.
So you said time. I feel like that's the magical word. Mm-hmm. How long of time does it take for you in particular to be like, you've kind of earned family status, I guess?
And what's crazy is it comes and goes. And it really does just show on their action of loyalty towards me. And not more like they're going to do whatever as I do, but they're like genuine interest in me as a person, and what I'm doing, wanting to be a part of certain things. And that can, either escalate or prolong, that feeling, I guess you can say.
So there's no amount of time. It's more of a loyalty factor.
Yeah. For example, me and you, we was low key family friends, but before freshman year ended, for us, and we kind of really picked up and evolved our relationship years later. But I always thought you were dope as fuck, you cool as shit, you would never were an asshole to me. Whereas like my boy Tommy, I've known him for 12 years. It wasn't until after high school that I was like, this is my nigga. I've known him for 3 years since then. So and again, like it really is like, again, high school is different. But like time is that's just how time works. He wasn't able to show that, and me vice versa, until afterwards when we are in those environments where we can actually do certain things like that.
I just find it very interesting because the two people that I mentioned earlier,
they definitely gave like a time frame, huh?
Yeah, no,
it was like 2 months, nigga, 2 months.
Not even like a time frame. So I know Melissa's listening. So for her, like our relationship, like my first time going to Oklahoma, I don't remember physically meeting her, but she knows, like she swears. She was like, "Oh, we met at this house party," and I was like, "Bro, I was blacked out."
That's usually how it be. Yeah.
The first time I vividly remember meeting Melissa was when Melissa was pregnant with Mia.
Okay.
And this was like a year or so later. And so like she came over and just brought pizza, and I was like, oh shit, like, but since then to me, like that's always been cool. Even though from Melissa, I feel like it's been a little bit longer. So for me, is like that time frame, even though it differed, I feel like it made a big difference. Cause it's like, oh, like when do you start the clock on your relationship? All right, cool. Or that relationship with your friends, whoever. Me and Jess, I've known Jess since Jess was in college. Well, we were both in college.
Yeah.
I was ready to graduate, but since me and Jess were in college, we've been cool ever since then. It's kind of like this person has never given me a reason to question their loyalty towards me. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's kind of like, now I'm thinking about it, it's like, damn, when did
that transition happen?
Yeah, when did you elevate?
Yeah. And a lot of it is the way that I see it is how it's just like, so if they were to kick it, you is like with your family, whatever, and they ask you if you want to hang out, I was like, oh, I'm chilling with like moms and pops at barbecue. Hey, yo, pull up. That I feel like wouldn't say necessarily a measure of time, but really how you're feeling, because you give that person enough respect to invite them to like a family function. Okay, so I got my first like, interaction. So like for like Melissa, I know you, like if she were to be out here, you invite her like, oh, I'm hanging out with moms, pull it to the house. Say this. So like those are people that I still don't have a time frame on it, but those are people like like, hey, pull it to the crib, like you meet mom, so I ain't tripping. So Melissa just texted me, even though she didn't put it on Twitter, but it's cool. It's okay.
So she said
you're not texting and driving, are you?
Nah, she at home. We already kind of planned this. I already told Melissa, I was like, hey, I need you to tune in and like help me.
ASMR right here.
Yeah, just wow. Oh, so this podcast is definitely brought to you by the Reposado Tequila. I apologize to my homies that I tell that I don't drink tequila.
Jose Cuervo Tradicional.
I was drinking the wrong tequila. Like I was drinking the Anejo and not the Reposado. The Reposado.
Oh, you drinking the dark shit? Oh yeah,
that's why. Yeah, no, that was my bad. I have seen the light. And I've come around to the Reposado. Reposado is really nice. It mixes well. Like, we are drinking this shit right now. It is really good.
He has seen the light.
But so Melissa said, and I quote in this text message, I'd say with you, it's more so you accepted the fact that I was a mom, and Mia accepted and welcomed you in her life. I love Mia, bro. Like, that's the most important soon-to-be 6-year-old.
That's definitely a great thing. It's a great thing. A great aspect of it. It's that you accept her and her daughter as far as like it's like a package deal.
Well, for me,
you
like,
weren't turned off of like her having like a you got a kid. Oh, you ain't no fun, but you also understand her and you enjoy her internally as a person in general. And me is just like an extension.
Well, so for me, so there was never, but to me that was never in doubt. Like,
okay,
I gotta finish reading this text message first, but let me comment on that. To me, that relationship was never in doubt. Like, once Melissa accepted me as a person, that loyalty was automatically like there. I had no reason to question Melissa as a person, and I had no question. Why would I question somebody that's not even born yet? Like, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
So for me, like, that is family by association. Like, I come.
Oh yeah,
I came
1,000%.
Like,
yeah.
Mia just is a part of my life now. Like, this
she's
is the coolest,
extension.
Yeah,
she's an extension of Melissa. Yeah, like
soon to be 6-year-old on the planet. Okay, so I'm gonna finish reading these texts. A lot of people I was kicking it with saw Mia as other and not as a part of me. Same with the dudes I've dated. They like the idea of me, but they don't accept the fact that I have a daughter. And I feel like that's very important too.
Yeah.
Like, you have to accept both. Like, you have to, if you don't accept both, even in friendship, well, to me, I look up to Melissa, truth be told. Like, Melissa is the reason that, like, somewhere down the line, I want to go into teaching. Not now. Melissa and Kaylani, for that matter, but not Nevada.
He won't start teaching. He's like 50.
Nah. Well, I mean, I've always wanted to be a special education teacher. I just know they don't get paid enough. So I'm going to keep it a buck.
Nah,
at least here.
Even with the fucking raise out here,
so
that's not enough.
I know I'm not going to teach in Nevada. That shit is out the window. But this is a person that I look up to personally, like, as not necessarily just as a parent, but as a person.
Yeah.
Like, the parenting, like, that Melissa has done with Mia, kind of, like, I'm very honest. Like, I was scared as shit to have a girl. Like, knowing me, it's kind of like I had to put myself as a dad and not as, like, a person trying to sleep with your daughter. Like, it's two different things. And I was like, oh, shit. And my mom was like, hey, my mom curses me with this shit. She's like, one day you have a daughter, you understand? And I was like, and it hit me. I was like, damn, bro, like, I need to get my shit together. This is a couple years ago. But I was like, hey, I can't treat women like this. And it's like, it is what it is. But so, God forbid, if anything were to
I'm not going to say nothing.
Please don't say nothing. If y'all would have known me in college and where I am now, I'm like two different people. It was like night and day. But we're going to go into that later. I'm not afraid to dive into that. We're going to do that a little bit later. Because that comes up part of our next time.
All right, look. All right, yeah. We'll dive into that later.
I will say that, God forbid, anything ever happened to Melissa or to Eddie. Eddie is Melissa's, is Mia's dad.
Okay.
And he's one of my fraternity brothers. God forbid anything ever happened to them or their family. Like, I know that I would treat me as my own daughter.
Exactly.
And it's kind of like, well, I've learned some people, like, when they say, like, godparent, they're like, oh, okay, cool, it's all fun and games. But if shit ever hit the fan, like, it's like, I'm out. Like, but for me, like, I know for a fact, like, God forbid if anything were ever to happen, like, I'm gonna take care of her. Like, and she's gonna know that. Yeah. Because so she, like, we had a text message convo, like, not too long ago. And she was saying, so Mia had asked Melissa, was like, oh, like, I thought Michael was your friend. And she's like, she is. But she's like, okay, well, how did he become family? And that's something you can't really explain to a 5-year-old. No. But it's kind of like, this is like who this person is to you or is to me.
And what it is, a lot of, I feel like the basic comments or basic sayings or explanations just like, oh, this has just been my friend for a very long time. And eventually we kind of develop what that is. And like you said earlier, the key word is just time. Yeah. And everyone's definition of time is different.
But I think it's...
Because I know niggas I know for 15 years who I don't consider... close friends or family friends. They're like, if I see you when we out, and it's cordial. And I wouldn't say like they're associates or whatever, like, because I still see them as friends. We just never got to that point in our relationship where I was just like, this is the homie, or this
is the next person up. Yeah. So, I guess the next question would be, is how do you start to develop these bonds with these people? Like, how do you know at that initial interaction, like, this person has the potential to grow with me as a friend and as family? Like, I feel like there's got to be some aha moment. So in
sociology, psychology, one of the two, there's this term called the proximity effect. And pretty much what it is over an undisclosed amount of time, the more that you all spend time together, the relationship, that point evolves on that. So the more time spent together, that's when you really determine that type of relationship. And it might be like, I'm not gonna fuck this person anymore. You don't really know until you start hanging out with someone on a consistent basis. So like, for example, it happens at friendships. This happens at relationship levels also. You see a lot of these couples who don't really necessarily make it because they don't spend enough time together to learn one another. Same thing happens with friendships. You spend more time together with the homies or even some of the home girls. You really see what their minds are like. You see how their behaviors are. And if they are in line with yours, eventually you're going to cross that point to where, okay, this is one of the home girls. But then there's some other level of interpersonal connection that happens, whether it's something that they do that shows their character or that's something you even inadvertently do for them that shows your character towards them, and they receive that and see that, and then it just builds on that even more. So like, for example, if I'm constantly picking up the homie up from work because he's out of gas, or even it's on a monetary level, he's like, I'm like the quote unquote go-to. Not that they're abusing the relationship, but the go-to is like, hey bro, like I'm in the bind. I need, $20 for Uber. I got you. And that's shown consistently. That person views you differently because you're coming through for them in a moment of weakness or in a moment of something. And that's where I feel like a lot of that clarity kind of comes into mind. Is like when you really think about the relationship you have with someone and you really kind of see what they've done for you and what you've done for them, that's where that aha moment kind of comes into play, I feel like.
Okay, but does that aha moment... Okay, so here's my next question, I guess, then.
Okay.
Does distance make the heart grow fonder?
Nah.
Okay, and then I disagree totally then.
Okay.
Because the people that I feel like I have some of the closest bond with don't live anywhere near me.
Okay.
And
but you also make it the effort to go see them. They also make the effort to go and see you. You guys also communicate on a different level, whether it's text messages or phone calls. So there's still that.
But I feel like for certain instances, that's not necessarily true, because I feel like everybody, I guess there's a mutual understanding that everybody's trying to live their life. And sometimes you just don't have like time to call or text or send somebody. I will say like, I will say like, we definitely, I consciously make an effort to go visit people I care about.
And that's the thing is like, you make those efforts. I got like I told you, Tommy's one of my boys. That nigga lives in California. He's been living in California my entire Las Vegas tenure. But I know for a point when I go see him, because even when I'm in the bind or I hit him up, and I only talk to him, same thing with my boy Chitty. It's
shout out Chitty, man.
Shout out Chitty. It's that effort that you two make. Whenever Tommy's in town, he's like, yo, I'm in town. You want to hang out? Cool, bet. And then that's just more time spending together. There goes that proximity effect again of just being together, realigning with what it is that he's about, what I'm about, and we have a good time. Same thing, my boy Daniel. Same thing when you go out there and you see Melissa. Same thing when you go out there and you see Jessica or Jen or whoever it is. You make it a conscious effort to go see them. That shows your respect, one, for them as a person, but also that shows your respect for the relationship. And that was even before you considered them so and so and so and so. Of course, your mindset back then was like, oh, I'm gonna have fun. Yo, I know, Melissa knows some dope spots. I know Jen knows, and then
she don't know no dope spots. We're not finna give her no.
Damn,
credit.
I'm trying to get her a benefit of the doubt. You wild for that shit, bro.
She took me to the mall and she took me. She took me to Loki's, but that was before. That was before when she was living in Norman.
But what I'm saying is, at that time in your life, as you're hanging out, you can know them a little more. You hang out a little more. You like what they're about. You like them as a person. Same thing for you as well. And then you know who you can go to whenever you visit back again. Because I know a lot of the time, like, you go and see them, but you really go out there sometimes just because the bros is going out there. And you always with the bros out here. The bros like, oh, we're going to Houston. Bet. I'm going to buy the plane ticket. We're going to have some fun.
So time out. For me, it was the reverse. Like, I'm the traveler. I've always been the traveler. Like, I've always, not necessarily to say, like, I've hated the turn up in Vegas, but once I did the turn up in Vegas for, like, 2 years, I was like, okay, I'm done.
So why'd you go to Houston for the first time? I'm gonna throw Houston there because I know you go to Houston a lot.
So Houston is...
Or Oklahoma in general, but go ahead.
So... Okay, Oklahoma.
Because no one just travels to fucking Houston and travel to Houston by themselves.
Okay, not actually, you're wrong.
They not by themselves.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean,
Who got you to go to Houston, and how that happened?
So originally, my family lives in Houston still. Like
Okay.
that's part of the reason. Well, not necessarily part of the reason.
So
But
you
that is
just to go visit family.
yeah. Well, I mean, family and friends.
Okay,
like,
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma is
Fucking
a
Oklahoma.
specific reason.
Fucking
And
Oklahoma,
so
yeah.
at first, it was to go visit and just turn up. It specifically became to go visit Melissa and Mia and to go hang out with family.
But how?
It just evolved like that.
From what though?
I
How
don't
did you
know.
and Melissa meet?
So according to them, we met at the party, and for me, she
So
brought me
when you
pizza.
went out there, did you know who she was prior? There was no Twitter interaction because I know you and the whole 87 fan thing.
So okay, so
like there's
time
a
out.
whole thing.
So one, don't say that right now because Melissa is not 87.
Okay,
Melissa
okay.
is a whole different.
Okay,
one.
I apologize.
like-
like
No,
I
I'm
don't
saying-
think I
no,
know
no,
your
so-
life, my boy. I'm just
No,
throwing.
so-
I'm trying to find a connection
so
here.
my first-
because once we make that connection, it's just gonna.
So
I
my
can
first-
track it exactly, my guy.
My first vivid memory of Melissa. Sorry, Melissa. She
Not
could've been
blacked out drunk.
Not blacked out drunk. Yeah, no. So in Oklahoma, if you ever go visit, there is a Melissa said, "I'm insulted."
Oh Lord, I apologize. Okay, look, listen, I apologize. I don't know no better.
All right, so look.
I don't know no better. Look,
Yo.
you can slap me in Houston next month, all right?
So she was like,
If it
"No, you
happens, I know
literally-
exactly
you
why."
literally walk into my house. Look, we're gonna have a special next month. Next month, we're gonna have a special birthday episode of the podcast.
Oh, it's
We're just got
happening.
my homies sit around and tell funny stories about me.
It's
Like
happening.
that's the goal.
It's happening.
But so my first vivid memory of Melissa. In Oklahoma, they have tornadoes. So like
lot.
they have tornado warnings, which vividly sound like The Purge.
Yeah.
Like it's like,
Yeah.
oh shit, all right, this is kind of
Very
wild.
scary fucking sound.
And so I vividly forget I was on one of my really good friends. He's a fraternity brother. His name is Daniel Torres.
Okay.
And
I think
Daniel
I think
Rendon.
I know Daniel. Maybe.
I don't
Like
think
vaguely.
But so I was standing at their apartment in Norman. I was like, hey, I'm gonna just come down for the weekend and like we could turn up. Like it's like whatever. All right, okay, cool. So Saturday morning, Melissa comes over. She's like, I brought pizza. I'm like, okay, cool. And so this purge warning hits. I woke up.
Shit your pants.
Boy,
Boy,
when
it's
I tell
happening, it's happening, it's
This is
happening.
my favorite Oklahoma story because it's literally like my introduction into like tornadoes. Like I never knew. They're like, oh yeah, it's a tornado like 10 miles down the road. And I've only seen Twister. I had never experienced a real tornado.
Wild.
I'm giving a buck. So in my head, I'm like, oh shit, like I need to like go to like find a shelter. I grab a baseball bat. I'm like, hey, yo, the purge is happening. Like, I got 24 hours to survive. Like, I immediately went into Negro mode. Like, I'm trying to survive. It's like survival is number one thing on the plate. So I'm sitting there, and she's like, hey, you want a slice of pizza? And I'm like, hey, you know, that don't sound too bad right now. Alarm went off 5 minutes later. And from at that moment, that was the point, like, we became cool. Like, I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But so,
Pizza was a connection.
According to
fucking
Melissa,
pizza. Listen, let me
the
tell you right
first
now,
time-
pizza is delicious.
the first time that we met, I literally walked into her house and was like, I'm Mike from Vegas, which literally sounds like some shit I would do.
That is definitely some
because
shit
she
you would
said
do.
that I walked in with a bottle of cognac, and I was like, oh yeah, okay,
That
that's
is some
definitely on point.
shit
Yeah.
you did, for
At that
sure.
point in time, though, like, but to me personally, I don't remember that because I was already blacked out drunk. Like, I was friendly with everybody. Like, oh,
Like if you
like,
walk in with a bottle of cognac, you are fucked up.
yeah,
like,
I was
off the
oh,
back.
boy,
Off the back.
Look, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna keep it a bug with you. If you ever go to Oklahoma, if you ever go to Norman, you ever get that experience, they turn up. They turn up for real. Like they definitely turn up. I'm gonna give them that. Like,
Yeah,
you ever
you
go
know-
to Logie's?
Hey, question. What else can you do in Oklahoma besides turn up?
I mean, there's
I'll
like
wait.
stuff to do. You
What?
can like brewery.
Is there an
hop.
amusement park there? You can
Nah,
what?
there's
You can
no
brewery
amusement
hop?
park.
And what do you do when you brewery hop? You turn the fuck up.
Nah, you casually drink. We've had moments of casually drinking. Like you drink, you enjoy your beer. Hey, look at him, looking in the camera. Look at him in the camera right now. Look at him. Wow.
Continue.
But so you can chill. There's really good restaurants. That's one thing I'm gonna give Oklahoma. Their barbecue is really good. So you can definitely go.
I will say I've never been, but I will.
No,
like,
they're
I've heard, but nothing but great shit about
their
Oklahoma barbecue.
Oklahoma barbecue is really good. But there's different restaurants to go to. Like their brunch is really good. There's different things to do. It's not
Okay.
just like turn up city. Like It's a city to like raise a family.
I don't say necessarily turn up city. It's just like there's not much. It's like what the fuck do you do in Idaho
Well, I mean,
besides
like,
go to parties? Like
as
it's
people
fucking
see,
Idaho.
As people see Oklahoma, hey, don't do that. That's a little too far. Nah, that's a little too far.
But like, what the fuck else is
no,
there to do? All right, continue.
Too much.
Besides raise a family,
there's multiple things to do in Oklahoma City at least.
Okay.
Now, Oklahoma is known for its college towns, so Stillwater, Norman. They're definitely like those are turn up cities, yes. But I mean, those are some of the best universities.
They ain't but two
in the
cities.
nations. Shit, it is what it is. I mean, there's a couple different ones, but everybody knows OKC and Norman. But there's Stillwater, there's Edmond, there's more. There's a couple different ones. So
I'll always love Oklahoma because of the whole panhandle. Y'all are awesome. Fuck Texas.
Wild.
Texas. Go ahead.
Very
though.
wild. But so that was me and Melissa's first. What happened?
Hey, H-Town group chat.
Oh Lord!
All right,
I don't believe.
Continue on.
But so Melissa's texting us right now. She's like giving us fact checks, like for real. But so like that was my first time meeting Melissa. Like as I was sober enough to be like, okay, cool, like let's talk and let's kick it. And from there, to me, like that was our starting point. From there, it evolved to multiple drunk functions where I would have Mia as a baby strapped to me in like one of those baby carrying things, like one of those that baby carrying things. Like we'd be at functions and she would hand her to me and be like, all right, cool. So I put Millie on in like this little strap thing, walk around the function, like turning up still. Like to me, it was just kind of like, okay, cool. Like I'm chilling with my niece. So like y'all gotta be quiet.
There's definitely a level of trust there.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, definitely level of trust. Well, I mean, I don't know. Ask her. Hey, text the group chat. Let us know.
Obviously, if she's letting you drunk parade with a baby,
let us know.
This sounds like we're such bad role models.
but so after as I would say as our relationship grew, I think Mia took more of a focal point, and it's kind of like it transitioned from, hey, let's go out and turn up to I have to find a babysitter for Mia, or Mia has to come with us. So for me, that definitely rearranged my priorities when I would go visit them, because now it's not just me and Melissa no more. It's me, Melissa, and Mia.
There's that evolution.
And so now, like, when I go places, I purposely in mind know that I have a 5-year-old that has to come with me and I'm responsible for.
Yeah.
So our like turn up day, like turn up nights became turn up days with a little asterisk. It's like, okay, cool. Like we have a plus one.
So what it sounds like, there were multiple encounters that you all had that got you up to the point where you are, or you each consider each other family.
Yes.
Which goes back to my main argument about the proximity effect. So for example, I know people who I've tweeted a lot, and that one time we met, and I'm like, yo, you low key are not cool. Like we thought over social media, and there are people who I've tweeted a lot where we have met, and you're like, yo, you're dope as fuck. Not to that family point yet, but it all starts with when you all meet one another and you hang out, where your views align at. And you saw Melissa as an individual and how dope she was, and how that carried into her daughter, and that relationship, it just extended out towards that. And the more that Melissa grew and evolved as a person, you also saw these things and you evolved and grew as a person, and you wanted to keep and salvage that friendship
you gonna make
relationship.
her cry right now.
Oh, stop. And so, but that's when it's all about proximity effect. The more time you spend together, whether it's long distance or not, because y'all can have a cool relationship, tweeting all the fucking time, but you don't know who they are as a person until you meet them. And it's usually that initial interaction, whether you remember it or not.
I don't remember. I'm keeping it a bug.
I feel like subconsciously you do, which is why you also you kept going back and you kept hanging out. Pizza, my nigga, pizza. Like, yo, I mean, that's just me. I don't always accept pizza.
It wasn't until
from strangers.
It wasn't until bro, it was Domino's. I'm not gonna be like, no, fuck,
it's Domino's.
Fuck. But no, so I vividly. I don't remember that, but there are multiple people that put me at the scene at that time. So I can't be like, oh, no, it didn't happen. I just don't remember it. I physically don't remember it.
Okay.
Because I was black. I'm telling you, by the time I got there. So here's how Oklahoma works. Very similar to Texas. Real talk. It's not like Vegas.
The geography lesson.
Everything stops at 2 a.m. regardless.
Also, if you're tuning into the Twitch,
off.
I apologize. I got the cameras all fucked up right now.
So when you're drinking, like, you know how for us, it's like, Like, it's a marathon. You can go the whole night. Like, you know stuff's not finna close down no time soon. We've been out till 3, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning sometimes.
Nigga, the shit still ain't a marathon. Like, I be sprinting my ass.
Nah,
bro.
fuck that.
I used to sprint, boy.
But you know there's not a time limit. Like, you know, like, I got time. Like, it's not like, oh, like you can't, oh, look, he already asking for the tequila. Here you go. But it's not like, oh,
Jose
you can't
show me the way.
Wildin'. But it's not like we can't literally walk to Walmart or Albertsons and be like, oh, let me get the bottle at 4 in the morning. It's a little different down south. 2 a.m., everything shut the fuck off. So it's like, all right, cool. Like, so in Oklahoma, you go turn up till 2 a.m., and then whatever the fuck else happens after that, like, is already pre-planned. So whatever spot you gotta go hit, they gotta have enough alcohol to supply you through the whole night. So literally, like, my first time going to Oklahoma, I'll never forget, I was like, oh, what time everything stops?
Tequila in here.
Ooh, that's on you, bro.
This shit didn't turn back pink when I poured it back up.
Yes. Purple and pink.
Oh, yikes.
The old Drake line. But so, as you go to Oklahoma, and I'm asking my homies, like, oh, what time is the bar closed? They're like, 2. God, about to die. I hope they get that on video.
It's on video. I have the little small camera in the bottom left. Video.
But so as you go through and you start drinking, you ask your homies like, oh, what time is it in? They tell you 2 a.m. You're like, oh, I'm trying to get as fucked up before last call. And at Logie's, it's the same shit. Closing time plays always, no matter what. 1:45, closing time. And you're like, all right, cool. Well, it's time for me to like, I gotta get these shits in real quick. So I can tell you, by the time I got to Melissa's house, like, I was already fucked up. Like, I was like, to me, I was like, oh, and so the one thing I hate about like when I go visit the South, my homegirls are like, oh, like, we'll get there at midnight. I'm like, bro, you understand I'm on a time crunch. Like, I got 2 hours to consume as much alcohol as possible, and not to say that that's bad, but like, I would like to enjoy.
Trying to get your time's worth.
Yeah, I'm trying to get like, can we move it like 10 to 2? Like, I'm trying to, you know, like, drink like in moderation. Like, I'm not trying to just like, oh, knock them back. It doesn't work like that. But no, in Oklahoma, like, 2 a.m. we out at midnight, power hour real quick, and then we on to the after party spot.
She said I ain't did the power hour in
long. It's not a thing for them. It's a way of life. It's not a oh shit. So Melissa the other day, like, she went to brunch on Sunday, and she was like, oh, Sunday fun day, and I was like, you got fucked up, huh? She's like, I was a little faded. I was like, oh yeah,
I was a little faded. Listen.
That should be her rapper name, Lil Faded. Like, yeah, like,
Lord have mercy,
Lil Faded. But yeah, she's like, I got a little turned up. I was a little schliz. I was a little drizz. But so you literally have to power hour until 2 a.m. So by the time I got to Melissa's house, like, I already knew, like, I wasn't gonna remember shit. Like, I was in there for a good time, not a long time.
Facts.
I leave Sunday night, like, I'm not remembering. I'm trying to get turned up, and I'm out this bitch. Boom. So it wasn't until I had a sober encounter that I vividly remember meeting this person. To me, I was in a room full of really cute gammas. Like, it is what it is.
Shout out all the really cute gammas.
Yes.
It's not for me. I'm just saying, shout out to all the cute gammas.
I'm pretty sure they're the Xquisite Beta Chapter 2 or something like that. They got Xquisite name, so shout out to them. Like,
cool. You're saying, I was like, I don't know what that means, but I got you. I know it's like, that's
sure
the chapter location, but you made the connection because you're Xquisite.
They're Xi Beta, so I'm like, okay, I have a special place in my heart for their chapter in particular. But yeah, so like, it wasn't for me that our relationship didn't really start till the next time I went, which was like, I want to say 6 to 8 months later. So that to me is the biggest question. Like, does distance make your heart grow fonder? Like, yeah, you can make the effort to go see other people like later on down the road, but what if you're not physically there? Like, circumstances happen, and I feel like besides, I would say you and some other people here, my closest relationships are very far from Nevada altogether.
I have like 4 niggas out here and like 3 out of state. Becca, Chitty, both in New Mexico. My boy Tommy in California. You, David, Alan, who I consider like a brother after all my insecurities have finally surpassed myself. And then Abigail and Shannon, Sammy.
Yeah, but for the most part, they're here. I could tell you
4 out of 3. Yeah, sorry.
No, I'm saying, but I feel like for me that generally it jumps a little bit different.
Yeah.
Like,
but nothing against them. It also helps that they're out of state because you, as an individual, also like to travel. So you're like, fuck it, I'm going to Houston and I'm gonna see some of the fam, some of the homies, some of the peeps, and all that shit too. I'm not gonna be like, fuck it, I'm gonna just go to Albuquerque. Like, I don't want to go to Albuquerque, nigga, like that.
Hey, yo, put some respect on Albuquerque. Albuquerque got some good beer.
But
put some respect on Albuquerque.
But me and Chitty also had that, and Becca had that relationship kind of tenured before they went that way. I wouldn't say necessarily the heart doesn't grow fonder. I miss some niggas every day, but we also make it a point that whenever I do eventually go out there, I see them, or I don't forget about them, or we have that constant communication, whether it's texting or phone calls. I FaceTime Becca once or twice a month. I say what's up to her, her fiance, the baby. I hit up Chitty every now and then. I be whooping this nigga's ass in iMessage games. Wow. We're planning the cruise for next year. Same thing with my boy Tommy. I be hitting him up on the side, especially when I'm drinking that nasty ass white Henny. I don't give a fuck what you saying. White Henny is disgusting, just like Hennessy is. And so, but those are also relationships that I've made earlier in my life where I enjoyed those and the foundation that they were laid upon versus some of the ones that I even made 2-3 years ago. And it's just like I just don't see a lot of those people like I do now. Like, I got a lot of Vegas homies. I don't have too many Vegas family friends.
Okay, fair enough.
So, but let's dive back into this conversation about the future of parenthood. You was talking about you wanted to reopen the conversation of like being a girl dad.
Yeah.
All right. How would you handle if you heard a rumor your little girl's in college? Getting turned out, bro.
That is honestly at that point in time none of my business. It's not like
respect.
That is up to her. I think that the biggest thing I've learned coming to Nevada is these
girls gonna
change
be
of
girls.
Not necessarily that. No, it's a change in thought process to me. Like, I used to think it totally different before I got to Nevada.
THOUGHT or THOT?
Huh?
Thought process.
Thought process, like thinking process.
I got you. I was being funny. Thought process. The process of a thought.
So for me, I wholeheartedly believe now, like, a woman's body is her own, and she can do whatever she wants.
Yeah.
So that is entirely none of my business. Who she sleep with, I think that I definitely don't want my daughter sleeping with anybody before she's 18. I think I'm gonna die on that hill. Because I feel like you just have no business sleeping with somebody before or while you in high school. I think that after high school, that's your decision to make. But while you in high school, I want your focus to be whatever you want to be in the future. I feel like boys will come and go. Like, you gonna have a boyfriend. I get it. Like, I understand. Like, I'm not saying don't make those social connections, because you have to learn how to make those social connections. You have to learn how to be. Yeah, you have to learn how to
a productive member of society, whether it's financial or whether it's just being
some way,
societal
shape, or
in
form.
general,
like, you're gonna have to, and that is what it is. But I definitely don't want a daughter to be boy crazed, like, while she's still in high school. Like, I want her to kind of find that after she gets out. Like, after you out of high school, the decisions that you have to make become totally your own. And so that's totally up to you, and you can, like, go into that as you please and do what you should. But for me, it's kind of like, I don't want you. Please don't be having sex in my house.
I'm kind of the same way in the aspect of, I want my children to definitely have their own independent voice earlier in their ages. For example, I want them to question things. I want them to really truly understand why certain things are certain ways, whether I can explain them or not. And I would rather that come when they're earlier in age. Like, if my daughter were to be having sex in high school and I found out about it, I wouldn't necessarily be upset. I would be concerned in a sense of, like, okay, like, what brought about this? Because certain things that me and your mother do, don't, my hope is, wouldn't necessarily evolve into that environment. Where'd you see it from? And really kind of get the understanding of that one. Because that's what I feel like the parent role is, not necessarily disciplining them too much, is really understanding why they're making the choices that they're making, and really being vigilant and not visible, but what's the word? present in their life of that matter. Like, I may get busy with work. I don't know what I'm gonna do in 20 years, whether it's DJ or radio. I don't fucking know. But I do want to be present to where I see these signs of, like, okay, you, for example, lost your virginity at 15. I don't want to be upset about that, because the more I'm upset about that, the way that they see things like sex or being intimate as a bad thing. And I don't want that a thing at all, because those are some of the things that we struggle with in my relationship of, like, intimacy. I feel like is a big important part in a relationship, and that's not just sleeping with someone. That's the emotional connection. That's the physical connection. That's the mental connection. That to me is being intimate, how you spend your time together. So, like, what brought you to that choice to want to give your body away at such a young age?
So to me,
like, I foresee it happening.
I think to me, like, how I kind of see things, I guess you see
that low-key
parenting.
That low-key just called my fidget daughter a hoe, and I apologize on that one.
Wow,
it's not at all what I meant.
Sorry, future kid. But so to me, I think that my parents, for me, gave me a good kind of, not necessarily rule book, but a kind of guide to parenting, I guess. And I've kind of seen it with me, and I saw it replicated with Gabe. And so essentially, it's kind of like, you're gonna make mistakes growing up. That just is what it is. Yeah. But it's kind of like to let you make mistakes within certain parameters.
I get that.
And so it's kind of like,
it's literally what parenting is, letting you make mistakes in parameters.
So essentially, it's kind of like, that they're gonna make these mistakes. These are bound to happen because you made these same exact mistakes.
Yeah.
And they're not gonna be like, if I tell you something, you're gonna want to see why I told you don't do it. It's kind of like I'm telling you the hypothesis and you finna test it. Like, all right, cool. Like, I'm finna figure this shit out.
So here's what I'm gonna say, not to counteract that, but I don't think sex is a mistake.
I don't think it's a mistake, but I think that.
So, in explaining in that matter, because this is ultimately about the choice of whether your kids is getting turned out at an early age or not. I'm gonna keep it a buck, not a choice, a conversation, and how you would react on that one. I don't think sex is a mistake, because I don't want people to regret things.
Okay.
People live and they hold on to regret way longer than what it needs to be, and it creates such a toxic environment.
So I'm gonna cut you off real quick. I'm gonna cut you off right now.
Go ahead.
So let's have a hypothetical real quick.
Okay.
Your daughter, freshman in high school, comes home. Dad, I'm pregnant. What happens next?
Great question. Well, depending on what the laws are, then we explore the conversation of, like, okay, well, what do you want to do? Because if the law dictates that I'm the parent and I have to control with it, of course I'm going to console my daughter. But, like, okay, here are your options. I'm not saying I'm going to completely disown you, but I will treat you very differently because now you decided to do certain things that kind of led this way. It's never a mistake. It might have been an accident. I don't think it's a mistake. Those are two different things.
Right.
No one means to get pregnant. A mistake is something that you're doing consciously, and you're like, shit, I was hoping I didn't get to this result because you made a mistake somewhere in that way. It wasn't an accident. Having sex is definitely a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's backtrack a little bit.
Let's backtrack a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Having consensual sex is definitely a choice.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
We're gonna say that. We're gonna say that. And so my job as a parent now is it's changing to be a guiding source now. Okay, what do you want to do? Okay, you're thinking of abortion. Okay, well, let me lay these pros and cons for you. You're thinking about keeping it. Okay, let me lay these pros and cons for you. Do you want my assistance? Okay, let me lay these pros and cons for you. And that's the conversation. Not parenting doesn't always have to be disciplined. I got my ass whooped as a kid.
Look, we got a whole episode on this.
And I'm not saying I'm not gonna whoop my kids' ass, but sometimes the ass whooping ain't always the decision. And this is where now you have to explore that understanding. Okay, what brought you to this crossroad? And it just might be that deep-ass conversation, and it might be a short conversation is what it is. So if she were to come home 14, 15 years old, pregnant, depending on what the laws are then, I'm definitely going to suggest certain things. But ultimately, how I view my life and how I view whether it's Violet's life or, God forbid, certain things happen, and it's my daughter's mother's life, whoever that may be is, it's always going to be the woman's choice no matter what the fuck the age is because I don't know what she's going through personally. She's going to be torn completely because she's young. She's in high school. Think about her future. And it's my job to really, hey, these are your options. We need to have a conversation, no matter how, it might be a haste conversation because there's a time on these motherfucking things.
No, that's real. No.
But that also comes with me developing that relationship with my child earlier in their life to them being comfortable with certain things, because I'm not going to just walk around the house and be like, is you fat or is you pregnant? And then boom, there it is in my life. I want to give them I want to give them my amount of respect as a parent. I'm not going to say friend, as a parent, to be able to be comfortable to come with me, to come to me about certain things like that happen in their life. Because it might not always be pregnancy. Dad, I got gonorrhea. Dad, I got herpes. Dad, I have fucking AIDS. Like, these are tough conversations because as you see it now, nigga. Bro, I see people 18 years old, fresh 18, and I work in housing, and they're openly conversing about their OnlyFans accounts. So you can't avoid people being sexually active. You can only teach them or help guide them to be sexually responsible.
Facts.
And I'm a die on that hill. Yeah, I'm a die on that hill.
DJ Prenup coaching.
I had my first sexual not encounter, sex ed class in 9th grade, which even then I felt was like
it's kind of late.
Yeah. And just because you have a sex ed class doesn't mean you're implanting the idea to go out and have sex, because there's all these other ways of contraceptive. And that's how a lot of people view them.
You want to know what's kind of funny?
Go ahead.
My first sex ed class didn't teach us nothing about sex. It was more like wearing deodorant. Like, I didn't know. Like, it wasn't. So it was like, oh, you finna go through puberty, but it wasn't like, oh, like I'm not finna teach you how the shit works. It's like you need to wear deodorant.
I took
and you
a
need
sex
to be
ed
like
class in college too. So it's what it is. My high school was like an early college, high school prep. So like our like it wasn't the core general like math, English, or science. Everything else was at community college level. So my sex ed class was a semester long. So they crammed all the information in that bitch.
Bro, you had a semester? I had 2 weeks.
I had a semester.
Like, I had a cool...
Yeah, we had that.
They were like, here you go.
But our teacher was like, assuming everyone's like at least 18. So she bought in dildos. Like, this was literally like a sexual curiosity course. What is sex? How is it performed? What are alternatives for, solo shit? Oh, wild shit, bro. But I mean, this is also, I'm like fucking 15 years old taking a sex ed class. I'm like, the fuck is a dildo? Which is wild because before then, TMI, like I was watching porn like crazy, but I was always watching boy-girl porn. I wasn't really looking at like toys and shit. And even back then, porn didn't really incorporate a lot of the things that we see now.
We're going to talk about that next week.
Right.
Porn is a whole different topic.
Porn is a whole other conversation.
Me, I was watching girl on girl.
All right.
For
I mean,
sure.
I wouldn't say I wasn't watching girl on girl, but like boy on girl porn. Got a lot of moves from that shit, my guy. I got a lot of moves from that shit, my boy.
On page 365.
Boy. All right, moving on.
So the next topic that we're gonna talk about, I'm not gonna throw nobody under the bus, Jessica. But so I already told her like, so I want to talk about toxicity.
Future, got it.
just kind of.
I mean, is it Future anymore? I don't know if it's Future anymore.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, he is Toxic King. Like he got a song. Was it like "Wait on Me" or something like that? "Wait on You"? I don't know. Something like that. Anyways, so me and Jessica had a very real conversation. We're like, hey, I was like, you have certain toxic traits, and it's not like I don't think she's choosing these traits on purpose. But
shout out to you for being a great friend and actually acknowledging that and letting her know. But go ahead. Continue.
Well, I was going through the same shit. Like I was literally. So I'm gonna be the first to say this. Like please don't hold this against me, future wife or future girlfriend, whoever. Like I at one point in time was probably the most toxic person on the planet.
On God.
Because wait, you're not supposed to be like, oh yeah, no.
Fuck that. This nigga was. I had a conversation with him too. I was like, bro, you good? Because you low-key wilding out.
Yeah, no, I was definitely.
I had that conversation with you.
So in high school, like I wasn't like, not to say I was ugly, but I went through very like terrible glow up phase.
Okay.
Like I had acne, I had braces, I had glasses, I had all at the same time. So high school, I got no bitches. Keep it a buck. Right hand on my heart, swear to God, like I got no.
That's the reason why I had a girlfriend in high school, bro.
I did, like I had a girl, but
can't
like
have no bitches if you committed to one bitch.
Like I had like I had a girlfriend, but like she wasn't like. She had to glow up at a later point in time too. But at that point in time, it's kind of like it was what it was. I just didn't want to be made fun of, like, because I couldn't get girls.
Yeah.
When I got to college, that shit changed drastically. Like, I went through, like, I joined a fraternity, and for whatever reason, I hit the meanest glow up phase of my life. Like, skin cleared up. Like, I started growing facial hair for real. Like, it was, so I mean, I literally went.
Listen, I'm not gonna comment on you because you would do like that. I don't think you started growing your facial hair for real until like.
No,
because you wasn't really growing a beard like that, bro. You
if you
might have
ever,
had
next time,
facial
no.
hair.
Next time you come back to the crib, I'm gonna show you like my high school pictures. Like I'll show you.
Okay.
Bro. Like it was a very drastic change. Like, so at college, I was wilding out. I have no problem saying that. Like I was protected of course, but I was wilding out. Like I was out here.
There's only one chick for me that I didn't want to, but she was like, "Hey, we should," I was like,
I was slicing.
I was like, "Shit, I ain't bet."
No, I was slicing and dicing, like for real. And so like it took a point for me to be like, okay, this is not cool how I treat women. Like, well, like women that had hopes to be with me, should I say?
Yeah.
Women had aspirations to be with me, and I was like, like you're here now, and I'm on to the next. Like, oh, okay, cool. It took a point for me. Somebody had to sit me down and be like, hey, the way that you treat women is not cool, and this is why. And they kind of showed me like the past history of how I was treating women, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. This is like, okay, I get it. Like I sat down. So with Jess, I was like, okay, cool. Like you having the same problems, and here's why. And I had to like really be like, hey, like the stuff you doing with this person is not really great,
stringing them along.
Yeah, like it's like you stringing them along, like you giving them false hope, and it's kind of like I don't think she was purposely choosing to do this because Jess is like one of my close friends. But it's like okay, cool. But I had literally like we was at Burns, and I was like bro, you kind of stringing them along. And she's like, well, they want to do it. And I was like, yes, but you still giving them the option to do it. So
Facts.
My question for our podcast, this was like our main topic. We already been talking for like an hour and some change.
Hour and 13. Actually, hour 3.
This was fun. This is way more we should definitely have more interactions. But
an hour total because I started the radio stream
a little bit later. But
Yeah.
so my question is at what point do you know you're being toxic? Like, does somebody have to sit you down and kind of show you, not necessarily the area of ways, but how you're treating different people? And then 2, do people choose to be toxic on purpose? Like, is it a moral choice that you choose?
Maybe so. I'm gonna say maybe it's like 50-50 yes or no, because some people don't know that they're being toxic because they've been doing the act for so long. That's kind of who they become in that phase.
But so here's I guess the counter argument, I guess. So the way that Jess laid out the story to me, I was like, okay, there's no toxic, nothing happening right now. And then we got to a point and I was just like, like you didn't have to do certain things in order to get what you wanted. Like, or you shouldn't have gone about this route totally. Like, this person should have probably not been talked to at all. Even if they reached out to you and was like, hey, like I'm willing to like whoop-de-doo, blah, blah, blah. It's probably best that you just don't respond. Like, you shouldn't give this person time of the day, even though it does come with benefits. Mm-hmm. Like, you probably should just be like, hey, like, this isn't cool for both of us. And the reasons being...
So, off the bat, I'm going to say this right now. If you... Because I feel like women, when they're being toxic, it's a bit more strategic than when they're being toxic. And I want to say this like that. So, for example, my girl... way before me and her got together, there was this one nigga that used to always want to just be with her. And she was like, off the bat, no, I don't want anything with you. He goes, it's okay. I just, yada, yada, yada. This nigga was buying her trips to Disney World. He was getting her all these concert tickets, these commemorative items whenever he went places, all this stuff. Meanwhile, she wasn't putting out. But he was still hoping. But she was still accepting it. Even though, to her disclosure, she was saying, I told him I didn't want my mama, but you're still allowing certain things to happen. And this is until I asked her, like, well, were you afraid he was going to do anything? Like, there can be a fear factor in there. And she's like, no, because he wanted to be me so bad. he would just do whatever I would ask. I was like, that's toxic as shit.
Yeah.
But it's like doing it for so long, you kind of lose sight of that because you get used to that.
Okay, so let me read this text that Melissa sent me.
Okay.
Shout out to Melissa. Y'all need to follow her on Twitter. I'm pretty sure it's
She said, preach.
It's at all_that I am. So y'all go ahead and follow her on Twitter and social media. So she said that she thinks toxic people are toxic because of things that they saw growing up.
That too.
Which is a good point.
Environmental for sure.
And that's what they think love is. And she puts in quotations, my parents acted like this and while they were still together. So you kind of see it is replicated. She also said that toxic behavior by women is very manipulative. So I agree and I don't. Mm-hmm. I think that we're human. So like we as humans are accustomed to getting the shit that we want in a sense. Yeah. So I don't fault people for doing certain things when it's kind of given to them. Like if you know that this person today is going to do certain things for you without asking because based on how they feel with you and you did nothing like to influence it, like, okay, cool. Like I'm not going to, if you want to give me this cookie because you think I'm cute and I didn't say shit to you, okay, cool. Like I'm going to take the cookie.
That was a lot for me and I enjoyed that very much because I did not have a glow up until college either. But
look, I had a, like, I'll say I had a, so I get it. But for me, it was more like, I'm not gonna lie, it was more like revenge. Like when I was in high school, it's like I couldn't fuck you, and when I got to college, I knew I could, so I did it because like I was being spiteful. And that just kind of was.
That's not spiteful. It's more of you it's like you were like endeavors.
I was spiteful.
You endeavors.
I'm gonna call a spade a spade. I'm gonna just be for real.
So you just how was that spiteful though?
Because I knew I could, and I knew I probably shouldn't have. So I did anyways.
That's not spite.
That's spite. Because I held a grudge.
They didn't.
No, I definitely held a grudge.
But you know, like, all right. So for example, a spite is like when you was in high school and this dude and this chick were together, and old boy was being a dick to you. So years later, when they're not together, you fuck his old girl. That's spiteful.
Okay, so think about it like this. I think here's the better way to put it. You ever seen that meme in the comic where like it's the dude, he's the nerd. And it's like the girl, he's like, oh, come on. And she's like, I want to be with the thug. And then you come back, and then the girl is like pregnant, and she's like, oh, I wish you would do it. And he's like, beat it, chick. Like, you ever seen that, like that little comic strip?
That's spite, but you're still fucking them. That's not spite.
I was doing the exact same thing. But I was fucking them and then telling them.
You're being endeavorous.
Oh, no. I'm okay.
No.
Right. Thank you for being the gracious
you're
person.
You're being a dick, nigga. That's what it is. You were being an asshole. They came to you because they was like, you know what, maybe you are cute. Because their minds changed on what the fuck good looks were too. Just like some bitches who I thought in high school wasn't bad. I saw them a few years later. I was like, hey, you bad, low key. And then they wasn't like, I'm gonna fuck you and leave you out of spite. I was like, that wasn't like, that's not.
Oh no, I definitely was like, I think for me, like, it was certain women that like found me attractive when I got to college that didn't find me attractive in high school that I had already told. I was like, hey, I think you're cute, and they didn't give me time of day. So when they came back in college,
spite, nigga, that's evolution.
I was like,
that's evolution. That's evolution, nigga. You just wasn't cute in high school, nigga. Like, and take the L, take the L, take the glow up.
Hey, oh no,
you plant that flag and you walk away champion. That's not spite, nigga. You walk away champion.
That's spiteful. To me, like it was just out of spite.
So your idea of spite is being a second place loser for 10 races straight, and the first place you get it, and you're like, fuck y'all niggas, I got first finally after you took 10 L's.
No, I think my idea of spite is I had came in first place, and then they disqualified me for whatever reason. There was no particular reason.
Yep. No, obviously, you didn't come in first place because you wasn't first choice. You wasn't first place.
Well, I had been given reasons.
Because I had literally... What disqualified you? Your looks? That's not really a disqualification. You just didn't win that race in looks, nigga.
I had been put in the friend zone. They would specifically tell me, look, they specifically tell me, like, you got all the qualities I'm looking for. You ever seen those memes where it's like, thank you for the most awesome friend day ever. Like, you've done all this cool and crazy shit.
There was one person in college who I actually finally planted that flag. That was like, you weren't that cute earlier, and I did. I didn't think it was spite that we eventually hooked up. I thought it was triumphant. I was like, hell yeah, I got you, bitch. I definitely... You was like, I wasn't look cute. Now we out here banging on a weekend basis. What's popping?
No,
Like that's not spite to me. That to me, that is a triumphant underdog story.
I'm gonna keep it a bug with
you
you.
were an underdog and you was taking W's in college.
I was on my best Drake impression. I was looking for revenge. I got to college. I was like,
looking for revenge is when some nigga disses you and you fuck his girl or his ex-girl. That's revenge.
No, because I'm not gonna get too deep into it. But I was like, all right, cool. Like I was like, I got the college. I don't know. Maybe just for me, like my point of view is kind of like when I think the desperation was so different. And I'm gonna show you the pictures. I'm gonna show you the pictures when next time you come to the crib.
You heard it here. Xquisite was in desperation mode trying to get these hoes.
Look, when I was in high school, you fucking right. Like going through high school, like I had 0 bitches. I was on 2 varsity teams.
It's high school.
No bitches.
Exquisite.
No.
You should focus on school.
No.
Focus on school. Be the role model. Focus on school. Listen, after you're 18, after you graduate high school, there's so much more. You know what? Maybe that was just
shout out to my homie
higher power.
Jess said that was. She said, nah, that was spiteful. Jess agrees with me. It was spiteful.
That's not spiteful.
It was out of spite.
Oh, God.
Nah, it was spiteful.
All right.
But so I think the goal of knowing that I'm finna fuck your life up later on down the road is toxic. That is spite to me. Knowing, like, I physically have, like, mentally figured out, like, I'm gonna fuck your shit up somewhere down the road, that's spite. It's not like triumph, like, oh, I'm gonna get it when she come back. No, I know that I'm finna fuck you.
I feel like back then you didn't know, you didn't realize till after the fact that happened, where you finally got in that position of power and then you was like, nah.
So this is gonna bring me to another point too. When I got to college, I didn't know that I was really good at eating pussy. Swear to God. And when I found that out, it was like a superpower. Because the homegirls taught all the other homegirls, and I was fucking bitches left and right. And I was like, it was like, oh yeah. And I was like, I don't understand. But I literally,
cunnilingus always wins.
As I went through like some of these, and this is part of the reason I was like, I want to talk about toxicity. As I went through some of these IG messages from like long ago, I was like, oh yeah, like I was fucking certain girls in the same friend group, and I understand. Amazing?
So according to your experience, I was never a toxic person.
Oh, I was toxic as shit.
And as well, because my idea of toxicity is telling them is like, hey, I know we had a great time, but just so you know, someone else walked up to the bullpen, and the ball's in your court. We can either keep going or not, but just know I'm slinging dick to someone else right now. That was me being toxic. You being toxic is like, I'm gonna fuck your life up.
Yes.
Out of quote unquote revenge.
Yes. I wasn't okay.
I wasn't trying to fuck anybody's life up or string them along. I always was honest.
No.
For example, we'll talk about C and H. You know the names. H being that person and C being the other person. So
can I tell my favorite story real quick?
Go ahead.
Hey, yo, so there was one time, right? Kyle was at a Thanksgiving dinner. Hey, this is my favorite story. Like I swear, I'm gonna tell this at your wedding. This is my favorite story. So H got invited over for she invited him over for Thanksgiving dinner. I'll never forget, bro. I was at work because I was at I think I was at Buckle at the time. And I was at work.
Yeah, it was Buckle.
Yeah, I was at Buckle. Like, I was sitting there, I was kind of chilling, and so it was like Thanksgiving. It was right before Black Friday. And so he's texting me, he's like, oh yeah, like, oh, it's all good, blah, blah, blah. Out of nowhere, bro, I get this picture, bro, and it's like this plate, this Thanksgiving plate. Like, it looked like it's out of a zombie movie, no cap. Like, so he's got like some he's got some like
I got the fucking dual screen out so they can see us.
He's got this plate of like this non-seasoned turkey. He's got these green beans that are still green from the jump.
Is an understatement.
And he's got this like out of the box stuffing. And so the first thing he says,
hey, it wasn't even stovetop. It was some other shit, bro.
The best part about this is he's texting me. He's like, so Kyle asked H's dad. He's like, oh, like, what did you season this with? And he's like, I put it in water. When I tell you, I was at work and I was checking out a customer and I started crying laughing. I would never forget this. He's like, yeah, they did their turkey in water and no seasoning. Best story ever. But continue. I'm sorry. CNH.
Yeah, so there's CNH, right? So I was messing around. I was messing around with C. Me and C were always emotionally on and off about what we wanted to do. We never really flourished into anything. But lo and behold comes H. and we're coworkers. I mean, we're all three of us are coworkers, just in like different areas, different departments, I guess you could say. And so, H is, fresh out of relationship. I always thought H was cute. So
I did too. I ain't gonna lie.
H was the one that was like, oh, you're cute. I was like, oh shit, bet. And this is when I fucked my knee up, and H was being very, 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 very friendly as far as like taking care of you, boy. C, on the other hand, we were in our like little dry patch. We would hook up every now and then. I want to say the last time that we had hooked up was 2 weeks prior to my injury. Anyway, but we were still talking. But C was also kind of cooped up in a weird little sex ring in their department. It's wild shit, bro.
Oh yeah,
it didn't turn me away. She was like, "I'm being safe." I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. And disclaimer: I tested after every person I was with.
Oh, time out real quick. Let me cut you off. Hey, if you listening, please go get tested. Regardless, don't matter if you like serious or whatever. Get tested every time. Especially with monkeypox. That shit is serious, and they talking about it spreading through men. So be careful. Go get tested. All right, sorry.
You're good. So I had my knees finally okay, and me and H finally get so there was like 3 occasions where we were supposed to get it on, and it didn't happen because some shit, whether it was my leg injury I got fucked up, or I couldn't because I was injured, so we were just kind of just culling up and sleeping over there now and then. The night we did it, boom, awesome, fire. So the next day I hit up C because she was like, hey, I said you walk around better, because we were still texting around, but just like friendly chats, nothing like
just in the chat.
Just like literally, we would. Okay. This was like a friends with benefits situation where we were still cool when we would just fuck.
In the chat.
In the chat, and so she was like, "You want to come over?" And I was like, "Yo, I would love to, but I'm gonna tell you right now, I am also talking to someone else." Now, I told her, I was like, I'm not saying that I don't want to cut it off with you, but I want to let you know that I have another interest. Not interests elsewhere. I have another interest. So on top of you, I have 2. And she, of course, guessed who it was, because there was always a thing about, like, Kyle and H are hanging out type shit. And I was like, because that's what coworkers talk. So I was like, that's what it is. But I was like, I'm letting you know. Like, she goes, fuck you this, fuck you that, blah, blah, blah. I was like, whoa, I get it. You're hurt. I left the ball in your court. You don't want to dunk it. Game's forfeited. Bet I'm going to go to the next W. That's me. Of course, she, fast forward 2 days, she fucks H's ex, think it's going to hurt me. Like, not hurt. So that's my idea of toxicity, is letting you know that even though me and you are fucking, I'm also fucking someone else right now.
I actually don't.
You do what you want to do when that conversation.
I don't think that's toxic. I think that's very.
So that's my idea of toxic, because honesty sometimes ain't never the best policy. But I'd rather you be in the know than you find out and then you really come at me. Well, no, I don't want that conversation ever.
To me, that's a very honest thing that and that's very
it may be so. A Cheater's Take, which is another show we have on here, we started recording the next season for it, and there was definitely conversation as far as, is honesty, or can honesty also be inconsiderate?
I think those
and
two can be.
We had a great conversation about that. But yeah.
I think that I think it can be, yeah. But I mean, is it the best policy? I believe always.
Honesty is always the best policy, whether you love it or hate it.
But I mean, at least that the ball's in your court and somebody's not hiding shit from you.
Exactly. Now, was it inconsiderate of me taking dick away from you?
Let's backtrack a little bit. Now, me as a toxic person, I was withholding that truth.
This nigga's toxic as fuck.
Exactly. I was withholding that truth. No.
I mean, I wouldn't say no longer, but he's definitely amended his ways.
No, I mean, I'm very happy.
You're not as toxic as you were.
I don't consider myself toxic at all. I tell people the thing with toxicity is like
a wholesome black man.
I'm not going to tell you the whole truth, because not necessarily that you don't deserve it, but it's not at my benefit.
Okay.
Like, it's not, the goal of toxicity is for me to have the benefit. Like I'm gonna like
my benefit was to keep pussy in my realm. That was my benefit. That's why I saw it as toxic. No matter what's happening, I'm telling somebody I'm fucking somebody.
But to me, that's not toxic. That's you being a good person. It's like the ball's in your court. Well, I'm telling you, no,
a good person. Yeah,
so
a good person would be told H to fuck off so I can keep fucking C.
Yeah, but
C wouldn't fuck H's X.
But you made a choice and you told
I love the
C.
alphabet.
You told C that you were fucking H, and that's okay. Like, okay, cool, but you made a choice and you let the choice be known. Me, a real nigga like me, I'd have been fucking C and H, and they would have never found out. That is just what it is. Well, at that point in time, that to me that's what I'm saying. Like that C would have never known that I was fucking H.
I have too much of a heart.
No,
I've always had too much.
That's the whole. That's the whole point.
That's a good heart.
That's literally the whole point.
And this is why, which is it's just. I wouldn't say it's a character flaw, but it's also a good reason why I am faithful to my girl. Like I could never cheat on her and be like okay with it. Because my behavior, I know for a fact my behavior would change, my attitude would change. There'd be so many fucking changes. She'd probably leave me just because I wasn't the same person before even finding out that I had cheated on her.
Well, I feel like the thing with being honest is that you leave clues to who you are.
On God, I cannot
fake,
lie to her, bro.
Yeah, you can't fake.
You know how hard it is for me to? I can lie to so easy, not to her.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, you're not to her. But that's how you know that it's real, because you found somebody that you don't want to lie to, and you want to tell everything truthfully too.
On God too.
That's the whole point.
On God.
Like that's literally the whole point of finding like true love is like you find somebody to tell everything to, regardless of
when we get off air. Remind me too. I gotta show you these rings that I'm looking at. Are too, right?
About time.
You knew what's happening. You knew what was happening. Age. I told both of niggas this year. I just gotta get the ring.
Well, you told a date, but I'm not gonna go into that. And I was like,
yeah, that date.
Yeah, it's off there.
It's happening this year. That's all I'm gonna say.
But yeah, I think that's the beauty of finding true love is you find somebody to tell everything to, faults, truths, everything. Like that's the beauty of it. But had that been me back in college, they weren't gonna find that out. That's the difference. That I feel like that's the toxicity difference, or as toxicity as we know it. I feel like humans, everybody has a degree, like a degree level of toxicity.
Yeah.
And you kind of figure that out as you go on. It's like, how much shit can I get away with without telling the whole truth? It's kind of like, oh, okay, cool. For a point in time, my lever was just really high. Like, I was like, okay, cool. Like, if I know I can get certain things and not have to give up truth, saying, okay, cool, it is what it is. Like, ignorance is bliss. But so had I been in your shoes, C would have never known that I was fucking H. You made a decision to tell C that you were fucking H, and that's a truthful thing to you. That shows that your toxicity meter was like super in the other direction. Because if that had been me, I'm like, oh, I'm getting away with both of this shit. Oh yeah, it is what it is. But that's just, I feel like that's the whole point of being toxicity is like, how do you manage it? Well, we as humans, I feel like we all have it at some point in time. It's just how much do you think you can get away with? How much do you know you can get away with?
I feel it. All right,
that's what it is.
We'll go ahead and close out tonight's show, and we're gonna come back though for this next week.
Next Tuesday. Man. We'll be tapping.
What other shout outs do you want to take before we do that?
So I think my biggest shout outs for the consistent engagement. We have to tweak this a little bit because I did not post no questions on Twitter.
You're good. I'm gonna have the content promo, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, no. So the biggest two for this show are Melissa. You can follow her at all_that_I am. That's my big sis. Thank you so much for listening. I love you. And then Jess as well too. Shout out to Jess. That's my sis too. Shout out to y'all. And I think the biggest thing that I've learned from this kind of toxicity takeaway is that I know women and they've showed me how to be a better person. Mm-hmm. So I think shout out to those two in particular for showing me how to treat women a lot better.
Big facts. Hey.
So yeah, it's that.
I wish I had an applause effect, but I don't.
That's the biggest takeaway from this whole thing is
they basic over here, baby.
They definitely. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But they've definitely taught me how to treat women a lot better.
Be a better man.
But yeah, so shout out to them for interacting with us for this particular show.
We'll see y'all in a month,
and we'll be back next week. Oh yeah, we're gonna see y'all in a month.
Yeah, big facts.
We're gonna
and actually, real fast, where can people follow you at who are tuning in on the radio app right now?
I forgot. You can also follow Jess at ever since Jess on Twitter. I don't know about Instagram.
You gotta spell that, bro.
Same way. It's ever EVERSINCEJESS. Ever since Jess.
I thought you said Everson Jess, but
no. Ever since Jess.
Got you.
Y'all can follow her on her social media. And then y'all can follow me at Xquisite Complex. The XQUISITECOMPLEX on all social media. I talk random shit, so please feel free to follow me or unfollow me as you please. It doesn't matter to me.
Big facts.
I'm living life.
And you can always follow me at DJ Prenup, PRENUP, on all social media, Twitter and IG. Follow the radio show, GTV Radio, on Instagram, and at radio_GTV on Twitter. This has been the Shallow Waters Podcast. My man Xquisite Complex, thank you so much for coming up with some crazy topics to always talk about.
It's pretty fun.
Follow us on Twitch and YouTube at GTV on the web. That's all the visual media we have. We're going to try to do this shit live a little more often, but if not, you can always listen to us on your favorite podcast platforms. It's Apple, Spotify, fucking
Sundays.
podcasts, whatever. Fucking Sundays at 1 p.m. We drop on air and podcast platforms.
We'll definitely...
Make sure you tap in with us. I got artists coming in for the Indie Artist Music Showcase. We have a Cheetah's Take coming back soon as well. We're doing a bunch of shit here over at GTV Radio, man. We appreciate y'all staying tapped in. I am DJ Prenup.
I'm Xquisite Complex. And next week, we will definitely have a little bit more engagement. It was my fault because I didn't post anything on Twitter. I was talking shit.
You good. Yeah, we dove deep in 3 feet.
And shout out to Reposado Tequila. I fuck with y'all.
We'll check out y'all later.